it was a complete mixture of what we call materialism and again, what we would call animism. So matter is imbued with an animate soul in some sense. And this comes to sort of, you can think of this as a crux in somebody like René Descartes, who said, I think, therefore I am. Okay? It was all about the world, the natural world was included an intangible. It included the mind, somehow related to the brain, but the mind, actually, the soul, exists and drives the world. Now, Descartes died in 1650. 150 years later, and I should say Flood and Descartes are both in the middle of the scientific revolution, so all this discussion is going on. In 1473 to 1543, just to put you as Copernicus, Galileo is just a bit after that. Then we've got Robert Boyle. Does anybody know who Robert Boyle is? Gas laws, PV equals nRT. Yeah, so PV equals nRT is Robert Boyle, considered by some the father of chemistry, really. And then Isaac Newton dies in 1727. The scientific revolution is going on during this whole period of time. And what's happening really is that experiment and observation and rational thought are distilling the magic out of science. The four of those were really what was going on in alchemy. Alchemists were very good observers and experimentalists, but they attributed the behaviors of their solutions to things like, I had a bad day and the planets weren't aligned well, or I stepped over a black cat, those sorts of things. And that was gone. By 1900, there's no room in science any longer for I think, therefore I am. And by 2001, 30% of the GDP of the US is based on quantum mechanics. And electrons don't think. Electrons don't have any reason for what they do. But, I should say, we still have God. Einstein, for example, believed that that God's role was the watchmaker. So God made the world and then let it go. And he talks a lot about that. You've probably heard the quotation, I can't believe God would throw dice. That's loosely paraphrased there. But the idea is that there is a God, and what Einstein was trying to figure out was what God did. How did God create the universe, and with what rules? So it's sort of a Spinoza-type view of the world, where you've got a creator, but one who doesn't play a role in our day-to-day lives. Sorry, my quotations are overlapping. Okay, so here's where we are today. Why do we revisit? Well, Darwin. There's a real problem if you say that science, that the world is made up of atoms, electrons, molecules. Where's the soul? And Darwin and biology religion has a lot of problem with the application of that idea to biology. What makes for morality, then? What makes me different from you? Science today says that it's my atoms and my molecules generating different chemical balances and firing electric signals at different rates in different parts of my brain that make me different from you. Not that I have a soul. And in the United States in particular, there's a huge battle ongoing with this idea. So it started with trying to put creationism in the schools, and then they changed to creation science, and then intelligent design. And there's something called the Discovery Institute that says, whose main goal, and they're very powerful actually, their main goal is debunking the traditional conceptions of both God and man. One of the things that they say is debunking the traditional conceptions of both God and man. Thinkers such as Charles Darwin, Karl Marx, and Sigmund Freud portrayed humans not as moral and spiritual beings, but as animals or machines who inhabited a universe ruled by purely impersonal forces and whose behavior and very thoughts were dictated by the unbending forces of biology, chemistry, and environment. That is the end if you believe in materialism. The cultural consequences of this triumph of materialism were devastating. Materialists undermine personal responsibility, deny the existence of objective moral standards, and claim that environment dictates our behavior and our beliefs. The Discovery Institute Center, that's the name of the center where many of these groups operate from or with, The Discovery Institute Center for the Renewal of Science and Culture seeks nothing less than the overthrow of materialism and its cultural legacies. The center explores how new developments in biology, physics, and cognitive science raise serious doubts about science materialism and have reopened the case for a broadly theistic understanding of nature. The goals of their own documents are, number one, to defeat scientific materialism and its destructive moral, culture, and political legacies, and number two, to replace materialistic explanations with a theistic understanding that nature and human beings are created by God. Now, I say this is in the United States, but actually, not too long ago, a Christian group sent CDs to biology teachers in New Zealand. So it is possible that materialism has only been around 100 or 200 years. Could we step back? Should we step back? I'd like to end with that thought. If you go to Conservapedia, which is the true Wikipedia, apparently, they leave you with the idea, or they start with the idea, that materialism undermines science, making it increasingly atheistic, rejecting God and its works in explanations of the world and all of human experience. Groups like this seek to redefine science so that you can again allow the supernatural as an explanation for your scientific behavior or for any behavior. So with that, I will stop.
Oh, it's me.